Hey guys, Hamsterwheel here with a new video, and today we're on Warmane's new Outland server. You see, after some time playing here, I figured I might as well look back and share my thoughts about what I think of the server so far, as I did the same thing with Hellfire and a few other servers. So unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard about Warmane's new server Outland, but for the sake of this video, I'll give you the rundown of this. Their new Outland server is running on the Burning Crusade expansion. It has 5 times experience rate, with everything else being 1 times rate, and for raid content they have all the attunements in place. As of right now they don't have a cash shop, but the devs did state that items will become open for purchase after said content has been cleared X amount of times. So there will be items added to this cash shop later on that aren't available right now. Same goes for PvP. If they're in Season 3 for instance, then Season 3 gear won't be available right at the get-go, but later on. Their server has been running since the 20th of May, so it's rather fresh and there's still plenty of people to be found while leveling in pretty much any leveling range. When it comes to faction balancing, there were some issues. According to the site, the faction balance at first was pretty good, but this changed over the course of 2 weeks to about 30% Alliance and 70% Horde. However, Warmane stated that they are actively monitoring the faction balance, and since this ratio was so out of whack, Alliance are now offered a free riding skill for both normal and epic mount, and a higher rate for experience, reputation and honor. So when it comes to performance, the server is running pretty strong. During my time playing here, I only encountered some minor lag spikes, and considering how many people are playing here, it is quite impressive. Now regarding the population of Warmane, there's a lot of controversy surrounding the server, with several people claiming that they faked their numbers and that they faked their queue. I spent some time researching and tried to get both sides of the stories to make it fair. Unfortunately, I could not come to any clear answer. There's a lot of conflicting arguments and information, and neither side of the argument has any concrete proof. I guess the only way to know if they are indeed faking their numbers is if you're part of the development team of Warmane, or if Hacks for Harambe returns and goes to work again. So whether their population is fake or not, there's no denying that there are a ton of people playing on the server. The launch reminded me a lot of Elysium, with the starting zones being completely packed with people, and for any single mob or boss you had to kill, there were a boatload of people camping that mob. Even in the Burning Crusade content, there's still lots of people packed around the spawn point for a quest mob. There's tons of people running dungeons and doing quests, and gang fests are always around the corner. Which is kind of annoying, but then again, it's a PvP server, so what do you expect? Anyway, the very high population is definitely a huge selling point for Warmane, as every zone feels alive, every town has lots of people in them like it's an actual town, and there's tons of people looking for dungeons and or raids in the world chat. Sure, there are some downsides to this huge population, like having to wait for a certain quest mob to spawn and having to spam instant casts in order to tag it. I don't know about you, but having to frantically spam tab and fire blast for 4 minutes straight, hoping you get to tag the mob, doesn't sound like an awful lot of fun to me. I do like to say that during leveling there's barely any dungeons going on, but this is mainly due to the 5 times leveling rate that the server has, and people just prefer to do quests and kill mobs for experience, so keep that in mind. One last thing I'd like to mention is that since the 3 weeks of the launch of the server, the population is still sky high, but luckily the queue has died down a bit. I've been monitoring the queue for over a week or so, and I noticed that it's going down slowly. For instance, the queue used to be at over 2,000 people at around 6 PM in Europe, while this is now around 600 to 800. The pathfinding on the server is pretty solid. Sure, it's not 100% perfect, with hunter pets and my frost elemental sometimes choosing a bit of a weird route, but generally speaking, mobs run to you in the correct way, and when they run away in fear, they also follow a sensible route and don't go spazzing out, like what I've seen on some servers. One thing to note is that being a mage, I thought I'd give the server a run for its money and try to blink in some awkward places. Turns out I haven't fallen through the world once, got stuck in a building, or didn't move forward at all, which I've seen on some servers before, so hats off to Warmane. Right, so during my time leveling here, I barely discovered any bugs, with pretty much every quest working smoothly, dialogue popping up correctly, and being able to complete every quest I managed to get a hold of. For example, the escort quest that you have to do after finding a homing beacon in vanilla content, lighting the cannons close to Honor Ult, bombing the gateways at the Dark Portal, torching the buildings in Zethgor, the Natural Remedies quest, and the list goes on and on. It's all working as intended, and like I said before in my first impressions video, they did a great job of fixing tons of issues the server originally had, and we're definitely seeing the fruits of Warmane's labor. So what about dungeons? Well, unfortunately I haven't really done any dungeons at low level, apart from Razor and Crawl, which again went quite smoothly. Even Malako himself made an appearance to check out how we were doing. It wasn't perfect though, as there were some issues with the last quest, but we eventually completed it and got a reward. When I hit TBC content, I made sure to get started on the dungeons, and so far I'm very impressed with what I saw. Abilities of bosses working correctly, no weird pathfinding, dialogue popping up. It's been a great experience so far, and I can't wait to see the other dungeons once I hit level 70. Last thing I want to mention is the community. Now, being such a popular server, this means that there's lots of people playing here from all different countries, and I already encountered German guilds, Polish guilds, Russian guilds, and so on. It's nice to see such a huge blend of people, but that blend of people doesn't come with its, well, let's put it nicely, not so social people. People refusing to team up when you both need to kill a mob, people refusing to talk to you during dungeons when you're trying to help them out, and people sometimes leaving your group out of nowhere without saying a word. Don't get me wrong, I still met a fair amount of decent people in random dungeons and parties, but if I were you, I'd recommend finding a guild with some decent people and try to do content with them, as my experience with the community so far have been good, but not great. Not as great as Primal WoW, for instance. Again, this is what you get with a server that has a very high population, and this is my personal experience, so keep that in mind. So as of right now, what do I think of the server? Well, Warmane has made a solid Burning Crusade server that will definitely give the competition a run for their money. Their biggest selling point is without a doubt the massive amounts of people playing here, making the entire world feel alive, all while providing a steady and stable server, which is nothing short of impressive. If you're looking for a Burning Crusade server with high XP rate, high population, and still somewhat of a fresh progression, then Warmane is definitely a good choice. The cons of this server is that the huge population can sometimes be annoying with trying to complete certain quests and the very high chance of getting ganked. Of course, their cash shop and paying to skip the queue is something that will definitely not sit well with some people as well. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of either of those, but for me the pros definitely outweigh the cons, so I don't mind them too much, especially now that the queue is dying down to a more reasonable level where non-donating players don't have to wait ages in the queue. So what are my plans here? Well, considering I have a few friends playing here, I'm gonna stick around a bit longer, hit level 70, do some dungeons, maybe do Karazhan if I have the time to do the whole attunement quest and Karazhan itself, and maybe a proper review if I manage to do all of that. Those are all things I'd like to do here, but we'll see how things go. Well, there you have it folks, my thoughts so far on Warmane's new Outland server. I hope I was able to give you guys a bit more information regarding the server, and as always, I want to thank you for watching. I'm Hamsterwheel and have a good one.